Hello, this is Tommy DeLeo, and for the next hour, I'll be reading from the Friday, July 24th issue of the Democrat Chronicle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Please enjoy. Data center moratorium for New York comes into focus. Chris McKenna. New one. Okay, let's see what they got. Plans for a giant data center near Ithaca met strong resistance last year when they emerged at the site of a closed power plant on Cayuga Lake's shore. By last month, environmental groups had gathered more than 19,000 names on a petition opposing the Cayuga Data Campus proposal. And just weeks later, as protests against similar projects rippled across New York, Governor Kathy Hochul stepped in with temporary relief, a one-year moratorium that pauses large data center plans like the one being fought in the Finger Lakes region. Hochul's July 13th order made New York the first state to halt data center projects and set off a mixed response. Supporters cheered the governor for freezing the rush of projects until the state writes new rules for a rapidly expanding industry with huge electricity and water needs. Some Republicans, including President Donald Trump and business groups, criticize the move as anti-growth and say that it will drive development to other states. Leading the applause were environmental groups that have helped coordinate and amplify the mounting citizen opposition. But they're also urging Hochul to sign a moratorium bill the lawmakers passed in June because it would go further than her order. She hasn't acted yet on the legislation or said if she will sign or veto it. We must prevent communities from getting steamrolled by the currently unregulated wealthy data center industry, Eric Wood, Senior Environmental Program Coordinator for the New York Public Interest Research Group, wrote in a Daily Sentinel op-ed column advocating for the bill. While the governor's order begins to address these things, it leaves many things up in the air. Hochul and Blakeman clash on data center pause. Hochul touted her moratorium order on July 20th at an event in Erie County, home to one of the latest data center proposals to spark local opposition. It's a $2 billion project that would draw 300 megawatts of power and rise from an industrial site in Tonawanda, just north of Buffalo. Hochul, speaking to elected officials and others at a roundtable discussion, said she issued her order to give New York some breathing room as it drafts new regulations to protect the state and many small communities where developers are seeking to build data centers. She said she wanted to slow it down because right now I have over 30 projects before us in the state of New York, and if I powered every one of them, you would not be able to turn on the lights tomorrow. That's how serious this is, so we have to be thoughtful about this. Really thoughtful. Politically, the order appeared as a prudent move for Hochul as she runs this fall for a second full term as governor. A Siena University poll in June found 46% of New York voters in support of a one-year moratorium on data centers, while 21 were opposed, and the rest had mixed feelings or no opinion. Bruce Blakeman, the Long Island Republican and Nassau County leader, who's challenging her re-election bid, has denounced the moratorium and argued the state had better ways to manage the demands of data centers without putting them on hold for a year. During a stop in Rockland County on July 17th, Blakeman told reporters he enlists developers to work with local governments as a partner on data center projects. He said he would urge them to recirculate water to reduce the amounts they use. They required they be self-sustaining with respect to utilities and generation of energy. So it's a question of getting all the shareholders together and getting them to buy into a partnership where everybody gets to say and where everybody gets an advantage and benefit, Blakeman said. Which data center projects are affected? Hochul's order stops the Department of Environmental Conservation from issuing permits for up to 1 year for data centers using at least 50 megawatts of electricity. In the meantime, other state agencies will study the environmental impact data centers could have on New York and draft a model of various investments developers could be forced to make in the communities where they build. It's unclear how many projects of that size are currently being reviewed by local planning boards in New York. In a response to a query from the USA Today network, the DEC said it's still researching which data center plans have pending permit applications that are now on hold due to the moratorium. Here are two big projects that may be affected. The 500 megawatt Stamp project at an industrial park in Genesee County between Rochester and Buffalo. Those plans also face new legal hurdles with the Sierra Club and Tonawanda Seneca Nation filing a lawsuit at the same time of Hochul's moratorium in order to challenge a zoning agreement that enabled the project to move forward. And the 400 megawatt data center at Terrell Wolf wants to build next to the Cayagua Lake in Tompkins County against a storm of local opposition. Still standing on the lakeshore property is the coal-fired power plant that closed in 2019, and that Terrell Wolf wants to restart to power its project. Other data center plans in New York fall below the 50 megawatt threshold on Hochul's order, are still in conceptual stages with no applications submitted yet to the host towns. In Dutchess County, for example, a developer is testing the power grid if the power grid could supply a 1,000 megawatt data center in East Fishkill, but hasn't announced any plans yet to the town. And that project would face an even longer pause than Hochul's if it did come before the local planning board. Town officials approved a 3-year moratorium on data centers in June after a public outcry over the plans. Good call. What would the bill do that's not in the order? The bill passed by lawmakers in June and awaiting Hochul's decision also would put a 1-year moratorium on state permits for data centers. But it also would set a lower threshold of 20 megawatts and had a few other elements that environmentalists are seeking. Notably, the bill that was passed included renewable energy targets for data centers, establishing a separate rate for data centers, and a whole section on community benefit agreements. Alex Beauchamp, Northern Region Director of Food and Water Watch, told USA Today Network by email. Some of those goals could definitely be accomplished through Hochul's order, Beauchamp said. But it would be stronger to have all that stuff prescribed in law rather than leaving it to the agencies carrying out the order. Mary Cariola campus advances. Steve Howe. New details have emerged for the proposed Mary Cariola Center at the Marketplace Mall, which received state plan approval from the Henrietta Planning Board on July 21st. The proposed school will be built in 2 phases in the footprint of the existing mall, with the first phase consisting of 62,500 square feet, located just south of the J.C. Penney, which remains open. It will serve middle school students. The remaining 127,500 square feet will be developed in the second phase, with the square footage located south of the initial phase and west of Floor and Decor. Preschool and grade school students will be based in the second phase. The plans call for a newly constructed single-story construction, and the designs align with the incentive zoning district around the mall. The Mary Cariola will purchase not only the existing square footage, but parking northeast of that portion of the mall, a total of 15.5 acres. The new construction is in design development, but elevations show a blue and gray exterior to contrast with the white University of Rochester Medical Center buildings already located at the mall site. If any changes are to be made to the elevations presented on July 21st, Mary Cariola would need to come back before the planning board to present them. Entrances to the new building will be located in the same place as the existing mall building. The drop-off and pickup area will be coordinated by Mary Cariola, with buses and other vehicles coming from 50 school districts. The redevelopment has already passed through its environmental review and special use permit process. The site plan was approved unanimously by the planning board. Wilmorite retains ownership of outlying parcels and big box storefronts, even though the mall interior closed at the end of 2025. Businesses with exterior entrances, Dave & Buster's, IndyCart Raceway, Floor & Decor, J.C. Penney, Land's Ends, and Sportsman's Warehouse all remain open. Billionaire Paychecks founder and philanthropist Tom Golisano, I think, who made a $25 million donation to the Mary Cariola Foundation, suggested the space and co-location. The center's relocation will be supported by $4 million in state funding. Penfield's Field Farms Market served community for decades. A fire destroyed the market building at Bauman's Farm Market on 5 Mile Land Road in early July 22nd, damaging a key part of Penfield family business that has served the community for decades. The Bauman family has farmed in the area for more than a century, with roots dating back to 1908. According to Bauman Farmers Market, Joseph Bauman, a Irondequoit native, have purchased 200 acres spanning Penfield and Webster at a Monroe County auction in 1908. Joseph and his wife Emma operated the property as a dairy farm until 1951, when their son Jim Bauman took over. In 1957, Jim and his wife Barbara expanded the operation to include field crops such as tomatoes and beans, and opened a small farm market outside of their home. After Jim died in 1974, his son worked alongside his mother in 1983, where he and his wife, also named Barbara, purchased the farm. Farm became a community destination. Over the decades, Bauman's farm market grew into a popular destination with 20 greenhouses and seasonal attractions. In the summers, customers visit for fresh fruits and vegetables in the farm's You Pick section. Fall brings freshly pressed apple cider, fried cakes, pumpkins, and a hay maze, and Halloween activities. During the winter, the farm sells both pre-cut and cut-your-own Christmas trees. Jim's brother, Mark, oversees the Christmas tree sales, while Jim and Barbara's 5 adult children help operate the business throughout the year. If farming was easy, everyone would do it, Jim Bauman told the Democrat Chronicle in 2015. No injuries reported after overnight fire. Dan Bauman, a farm employee and son of owners Jim and Barbara Bauman, said the fire began sometime between 2 and 2:30 a.m. on Wednesday. He said his parents had fallen asleep watching television when they woke to a noise and orange glow and called 911. The Bauman said the family's home sustained melted siding, and several greenhouses near the market building were also damaged. The Bauman family said firefighters from Webster, West Webster, Penfield, Brighton, and Irondequoit fire departments worked tirelessly throughout the night to battle the blaze. Our hearts are heavy, but we are incredibly grateful for what matters most. Everyone is safe, the family said in a statement. We are assessing our next steps and will provide updates on our social media pages as they become available. The cause of the fire and the full extent of the damage were not immediately available. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Democrat Chronicle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. States auditing voter error voting systems after serious NJ glitch. Serious software error recognized non-citizens. Several states told USA Today that they are examining whether a software program that allows 6,600 citizens to register to vote in New Jersey and could have happened in that state. More than half of states and territories use the same vendor that New Jersey said is cutting ties with over a serious software error that recognized 6,600 non-citizens and to vote while they're getting their driver's licenses, according to the vendor's IDEMIA's website. Okay. New Jersey Governor Mike Sherrill announced that on July 21st that as many as 6,600 non-U.S. citizens registered to vote in New Jersey in 2023 and 2024 because of a software flaw. Fewer than 400 of them are cast ballots, she said. USA Today contacted the 36 states and the U.S. Virgin Islands and said that that have an IDEMIA contract covering at least part of work performed at their DMVs, and found that states from Mississippi to Rhode Island are already reviewing their voter registration systems. One of the most prominent tech security companies, France-based IDEMIA, is used nationwide for identity-related security check services like TSA PreCheck, facial recognition, and mobile identification. And DMV agencies, IDEMA's software assists with printing identification cards, taking photos, and collecting data. Identifying data, yeah. In a July 21st statement, the company pushed back on New Jersey's claim of an error and said its role is to transmit information it captures from applicants, while it is up to secretaries of state to ensure that the information is accurate. Company spokesperson Lisa Peterson said on July 22nd that issues like those experienced in New Jersey have not been seen elsewhere. In response to questions from USA Today, IDEMIA has retested and confirmed that the voter information capture functionality is operating as intended in the other jurisdictions it supports, said Lisa Shoemaker, a IDEMIA senior vice president for global corporate relations. The incident comes just days after President Donald Trump and Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullin made broad allegations about the number of non-citizens registered to vote in the United States. Mullin said his agency had used publicly available information to identify more than 250,000 potential non-citizens illegally registered to vote in California, New Jersey, Nevada, and Pennsylvania. All of these states have denied the allegations. Each state has a different contract with IDEMIA, Civil Identity NA LLC. Allowing access to a variety of its services. Not all states that use the company as part of the DMV have collect and transmit voter registration information. For example, Louisiana's Office of Motor Vehicles uses IDEMIA exclusively for driver license and ID card insurance, but not for voter registration. Illinois and Maine also have a similar arrangement. In Missouri, IDEMIA has a contract to ensure identification cards, including driver's licenses, but it does not have the responsibility of determining whether someone is eligible to vote, said Joe Dunchaney, a spokesperson for the Missouri Driving Department of Revenue, which handles motor vehicle and licensing issues. That responsibility falls to the Secretary of State's office, Shani told USA Today. We send IDEMIA a file that says, hey, produce these IDs, and then they, in fact, do that for us. What they do in other states, I don't know, Shani said. Shani said that after receiving a request for comment from USA Today, the Department of Revenue asked its motor vehicle and driver licensing division to conduct a check of its systems. At this point, Shani said, we have found nothing out of the ordinary. In Mississippi, Secretary of State Michael Watson told USA Today that he and Department of Public Safety Commissioner Sean Tyndall are examining the system. I've already checked with our commissioner and can ensure Mississippians will make sure our systems are operating correctly, Watson said. Rhode Island State Department of Election Division said it has requested a meeting with the Division of Motor Vehicles and its vendor and asked for a complete system review. At this time, there is no indication that a similar issue has occurred here, the division said, noting that since 2019, the DMV has conducted regular audits of a randomized selection of records to ensure that database entries match paper records. This process would identify any potential patterns of irregularities in registrations, so they could be immediately rectified, said the division in a statement. Idaho, along with 5 other states, is exempt from the National Voter Registration Act of 1993, which requires states make registering to vote an option when getting identification, because it offers election day voter registration. Still, Idaho Secretary of State Phil McGrain, and it said the DMV has a contract with IDEMIA, but does not use their voter registrations. Illinois no longer uses IDEMIA. For the voter registration process at the DMV, the Secretary of State's office said. Also, Illinois has a built-in safeguard where people applying for a driver's license are first asked about their citizenship status, said the Illinois State Board of Elections spokesman Matt Detrich. If they answer no, they are blocked from a voter registration process and their information is not forwarded to us. Sherrill said that July 21st that the non-citizens involved in the had answered no to whether or not they were a U.S. citizen while applying for their driver's licenses and identification cards with the Motor Vehicle Commission, but were registered to vote anyway. All 50 states allow legally present non-citizens to obtain driver's licenses. Fewer than 400 non-citizens actually voted and were registered as Democrats, Republicans, and unaffiliated parts of all of the states, she said. In her response, Shoemaker told USA Today that in the 6,600 records submitted to New Jersey's MVC and division elections, all 6,600 individuals indicated yes to wanting to register to vote and no to being a U.S. citizen. At no point was a non-citizen ever marked as a citizen in the database, Shoemaker said. The DOJ says it's investigating. House votes to rein in Trump's power in Iran. In a sharp rebuke to President Donald Trump, the House of Representatives voted on July 23rd to end the war with Iran. The War Powers Resolution passed 214 to 208, with all Democrats and 4 Republicans in support. Representatives Thomas Massey of Kentucky, Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, Warren Davidson of Ohio, and Tom Barrett of Michigan. The largely symbolic resolution will not force an end to the war, but it did make lawmakers record their stance. That's less than 4 months before most of them face re-election. The Senate was expected to vote on its own measure later in the morning. Republican senators in June bucked the White House to pass a similar measure before reversing their vote the next day, with Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell on medical leave. The GOP currently has a smaller majority in the state. The vote came 2 days after the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, asked Congress for $67 billion in additional funding for the war, prompting Democrats to question whether the administration had a plan to end hostilities. Iran and the United States continue to fight over control of the Strait of Hormuz, where Iran has periodically attacked ships to deter traffic and choke the world's oil supply. Iran-backed Houthi militants said they attacked 2 oil tankers from U.S. ally Saudi Arabia in the Red Sea, The group controls the Bab el Mandeb Strait, a waterway that has been used as an alternative to the throttled strait. The Secretary of State Marco Rubio told reporters that Iran pulled the Houthis into the bombing, and he hoped they would change their behavior and stay out of the conflict with Iran. They got suckered into this by the Iranians, Rubio said during a trip to Southeast Asia. The Houthis were smart and stayed out of this conflict throughout the conflict. But now they apparently have gotten themselves suckered into this after going Saudi Arabia and their ships. Rubio pointed to reports overnight Saudi Arabia's ships were carrying 4 million barrels of oil for China that were attempting to exit the Red Sea. Are they going to blow up the Chinese ship if this becomes a problem for China? Rubio said. This will become a problem for the whole world, but I hope that they will de-escalate. I want them to. Oil prices surged again after the Houthi attack. Brent crude rose more than 6% on July 23rd, returning to $100 per barrel and its highest level since late May. West Texas Intermediate Oil, the U.S. benchmark, rose 5% to near $91 per barrel, its highest level since early June. Gas prices remained above $4 per gallon. The average national price for a gallon of regular gas was $4.09, up from $3.39 in June and $3.16 this time last year. Patrick DeHaan, head of petroleum analysis at GasBuddy, said on Twitter that the average could climb to somewhere between $4.25 and $4.40 per gallon in the next couple of weeks. The renewed fighting has included the deployment of B-1 long-range bomber to strike targets in Iran, according to multiple news outlets. Allison Cross and Union Station go to play a CMAC. American bluegrass band Allison Cross and Union Station, featuring Jerry Douglas, will perform at Constellation Brands Marvin Sands Performing Arts Center this Saturday with special guest Theo Lawrence. The band, known for their beloved album Paper Airplane, will take the CMAC stage on July 25th at 7:30 p.m. for their Arcadia 2026 tour. Allison Cross and Union Station's most recent album, Arcadia, debuted in March 2025. Their 2026 North American tour will run from April 2026 through October 2026. This will be CMAC's 10th show of the 2026 summer concert season. Here is what to know. Allison Cross and Union Station CMAC concert details and tickets. Tickets for the July 25th show currently range from around $42 to $170. And can be purchased through the Ticketmaster.com. Doors for the show will open at 6 p.m. and their performance will start at 7:30 p.m. The venue on the Finger Lakes Community College campus, located at 3355 Marvin Sands Drive, Hopewell. CMAC bag policy. Okay. CMAC has implemented a clear bag policy for all events. Clear bags no larger than 12 inches by 6 inches is by 12 inches are allowed inside the venue. Crutches and wallets smaller than 4.5 inches by 6.5 inches are also allowed. For questions about CMAC's bag policy or other general information, call or text 585-678-6938 to view more frequently asked questions. Visit cmacevents.com FAQ/FAQ/dot. Okay. CMAC parking information. General law parking. CMAC general parking lot is located off State Route 364, East Lake Road, and Country Road 18 in Hopewell. Parking in this lot is $10 cash only, and is first come, first served. RVs and cars traveling with a trailer must pay for 2 parking spots. Overnight parking is not allowed in the general lot. Premium parking. Lot parking. Tickets for the premium parking lot are $30 and must be purchased in advance through Ticketmaster.com. The premium lot is located off Lakeshore Drive. Limo parking. Limos can park in the general lot for $20. Both the general and premium parking spots open up 2 hours before the doors open for a show. For more information on parking and to stay updated on closures, visit cmacevents.com/cmacvenue/dot. Here is the remaining 2026 concert lineup at CMAC. Ella Langley will perform on July 31st. August 8th has Zach Top performing. Blues Traveler and Gin Blossoms will co-headline their show on August 9th. Josh Groban will perform on August 18th. Brandy Charlie will perform on the 20th. Sublime on the 22nd. Luke Bryan will perform his Word on the Street tour in August 26th. The Jerry Garcia Symphonic Celebration will perform on the 1st of September, and John Fogerty and Steve Winwood on the 5th. 4 adults, teen charged after fight at Avoca American Legion. 4 adults were arrested and 1 juvenile was charged following investigation into a disturbance and physical altercation at the American Legion in the Steuben County village of Avoca, according to the New York State Police. The incident occurred around 8:36 p.m. June 16th at the American Legion 33 South Main Street, where troopers responded to reports of multiple people fighting, and when troopers arrived, they worked to de-escalate the situation. Police said several people refused to comply with lawful commands and continued acting aggressively. The investigators determined that multiple children were present during the incidents earlier that evening, and during the fight at the American Legion, 2 people suffered physical injuries during the altercation, police said. Following the investigation, state police arrested the following individuals on the 17th. Danielle M. Bacon, 32, of Avoca, was charged with endangering the welfare of a child, a misdemeanor. Dylan A. Bacon, 26, of Avoca, was charged with third-degree assault and endangering the welfare of a child, both misdemeanors. Stephen E. Leach, a 50 of Avoca, was charged with endangering the welfare of a child, Stephen E. No, no, Knowlton Leach, 33, of Avoca, was charged with not only endangering the welfare of a child, but also third-degree assault and second-degree obstructing governmental administration, all misdemeanors. Police said Knowlton Leach fled as officers attempted to arrest to execute an arrest warrant. And after a search of the surrounding area, he surrendered without further incident. A 16-year-old was issued a family court appearance ticket charging second-degree obstructing governmental administration, a misdemeanor. The adult defendants were processed and arraigned through the Steuben County Jail. The New York State Police were assisted by Steuben County Sheriff's Office. New York Focus Special to be part of Shark Week. Shark Week 2026 returns this weekend with a new New York-focused Sharkzilla special. Discovery's beloved Shark Week will return this Sunday, July 26th, and will run through Saturday, August 1st. The 38th annual Shark Week will feature 20 action-packed premieres focused on shark conservation, education, and investigations. Here's what to know about Shark Week 2026 and the upcoming schedule. Now, when is Shark Week 2026? Shark Week 2026 will begin on 8 p.m. on July 26th and run through August 1st, with its last special airing at 9 p.m. on Discovery Channel. What is Sharkzilla Takes New York? Sharkzilla Takes New York is the New York-focused Shark Week 2026 special that examines suspicious marine life activity along a New York shore. Discovery synopsis for Sharkzilla Takes Over New York reads, after a slew of mauled marine life washes ashore in New York, Dr. Craig O'Connell attempts a search to find the culprit. When it leads him to an old nuclear dumping ground ringed with great whites and makos, he theorizes the predator may be radioactive. Sharkzilla Takes New York will air on Friday, July 31st at 9 p.m. on the Discovery Channel. Here's the schedule for Shark Week 2026. K-pop Shark Heroes, 8 p.m. East ET. Air Jaws, Red, White, and Breach, 9 p.m. ET. Invasion of the Mega Sharks, 10 p.m. ET. Bull Shark Dinner Bell, 8 p.m. ET. House of Sharks, 9 p.m. ET. Biggest Mako on Earth, 10 p.m. ET. Tuesday, July 28th. Jurassic Sharks at 8 p.m. Jaws vs. Orca at 9. Chum Island Catching a Killer at 10 p.m. Wednesday has Expedition X Atomic Sharps at 8 p.m., Expedition Unknown Shark Secrets at 9 p.m., and Alien Sharks Untamed America at 10 p.m. Watch Shark Attacked, 8 p.m. On Thursday, How to Train a Great White at 9 p.m., and Ultimate Shark Dive at 10 p.m. Friday has Secrets of the Great White Kill at 8 p.m., Sharkzilla Takes New York airs at 9, and My Strange Shark Addiction at 10. And finally, on the final day of the event, Saturday, August 1st, Thresher Shark, Stunned to Kill at 9, and Great White Highway at 8 p.m. How to watch Shark Week 2026. Shark Week 2026 will air on the Discovery Channel starting Sunday, July 26th at 8 p.m. Hiker rescued by helicopter on New York's tallest mountain. Ryan Miller, a 61-year-old hiker from Nyack was rescued by helicopter from New York's tallest mountain after suffering a broken arm while hiking in the Adirondacks. New York State Police flew to the injured hiker on Mount Marcy shortly after 1 p.m. July 7th, according to New York State Department of Environmental Health Conservation. As the helicopter hovered over Mount Marcy, a forest ranger was lowered to the hiker's location. The ranger splinted the hiker's broken arm and secured the victim in a rescue harness. Another ranger hoisted the hiker into the helicopter, and a New York State Police pilot flew the patient to a hospital. After the helicopter department, the ranger on the ground hiked off Mount Marcy with the remaining members of the hiking party. Rescue included about 8 p.m., 8 p.m. What is wrong with me? Mount Marcy has an elevation of 5,344 at the summit. The round trip hike is 14.8 miles with an elevation gain of 3,166 feet. 2 found dead in Gangland home in apparent murder-suicide. Oh boy. The Wayne County Sheriff's Office is investigating the deaths of a man and woman found with apparent gunshot wounds at a residence in the town of Galen. Deputies responded to the home after the Wayne County 911 Center received a report about 11:46 p.m. of a male and female with possible gunshot injuries. Deputies located both individuals deceased at the scene. Detectives believe the incident was a murder-suicide, according to the sheriff's office. Authorities said there is no ongoing threat to the community. The investigation remains active. Additional details were not immediately released. The Wayne County Sheriff's Office was assisted at the scene by the Clyde Police Department, New York State Police, Clyde Fire Department, and Wayne County EMS. New York court officer charged with unlawful surveillance. A New York State court officer has been charged with unlawful surveillance following an investigation into allegations that he secretly took intimate photographs of an adult woman without her knowledge or consent, according to New York State Police. James W. Madura, at 38 of Waterville on Oneida County, was arrested on July 10th. Madeira, who was employed as a court officer in the state Supreme Court of Oneida County, was charged with second-degree unlawful surveillance, a Class E felony. State police said there are no allegations that the alleged misconduct occurred while Madeira was on duty or in connection with his employment. Madeira was arraigned on an Oneida County centralized arraignment part court and released his own reconnaissance. He is scheduled to appear in court at a later date. A full stay-away order of protection was issued on behalf of the alleged victim. The investigation remains ongoing. 2 tornadoes confirmed in New York this week. The National Weather Service has confirmed 2 tornadoes touched down in New York during severe thunderstorms on July 21st, including an EF0 tornado in Westchester County and a tornado that strengthened to EF1 in Broome County. Thankfully, no injuries or fatalities were reported in either tornado. Westchester County. The National Weather Service confirmed an EF0 tornado touched down in Westchester County between Purchase and Rye Brook. The tornado developed around 4:10 p.m. Tuesday in Purchase and traveled about 1.8 miles before dissipating near Rye Brook at approximately 4:17 p.m. The tornado reached estimated peak winds of 85 miles an hour and at a maximum width of about 40 yards. Survey crews said the tornado uprooted and snapped several trees on the Manhattanville College campus before causing additional tree and power line damage along its path. Radar also detected debris lofted thousands of feet into the air, helping confirm the tornado. Broome County. I refuse to believe that's a real thing. The National Weather Service also confirmed a tornado that began around 1:40 p.m. Tuesday, roughly 5 miles northwest of Shenango-Frogs in Broome County. The tornado initially touched down as an EFO before strengthening to EF1 with an estimated peak of 90 miles per hour. It remained on the ground about 6.5 miles, crossing and passing several rural roads and ridgelines before moving through the western portion of the village of Greene and dissipating after crossing State Route 41. The damage surveys continue. The National Weather Service said the survey findings are preliminary and could be updated as additional information becomes available. The tornadoes were among several severe weather reports across New York as strong thunderstorms moved across the state Tuesday, bringing heavy rain, damaging winds, and flash flooding to some areas. Okay, you have been listening to a reading of articles and features from the Democrat Chronicle on the Niagara Frontier on the Friday, July 24th issue of the Democrat Chronicle on the Niagara Frontier Radar Reading Service. Your reader has been Tommy DeLeo, and thank you all for listening.